Hi, everybody all over the world. Thank you once again for joining us on the Global Talkative series. My name is Lanre Ajayi, and I'm happy to be your host on this live series again. Now, this is a global platform where we've come to discuss issues, have a good thing, talk together, relate with each other, and then talk through the present pandemic that is happening. We want to find a way in which we can, share our minds, share ideas, and rub minds. And we've been privileged to have guests from around the globe, come with their wealth of experience to talk to us on this show. And today, the talk goes to Ghana. So we're connecting with our brothers and sisters in Ghana. And I have a dear brother of mine and a friend and a brother who will be joining us all the way from Accra, Ghana, the Asante Kotoko of Ghana, the Gold Coast of the world.
Okay.
Is no other person. We're just waiting for him to connect on Instagram. I can see the button rolling. We are live
Okay.
on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. And if you
All
go on
right.
YouTube, just search for Lanre Ajayi. We're broadcasting live on YouTube and we're also live on Facebook real time. So we're just waiting for Azubike to join us. It's going to, join us again. Let me just try and send an invitation to him again.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Okay. I'm seeing you, but I can you just
okay.
try and click
The request button.
the request button? I'm trying to send you an invitation again to come join. All right. Where is okay.
Okay, let me exit and rejoin.
Okay, yeah. So waiting for Azubike to join us right from Ghana.
Okay. So I've joined now. I'm trying to join.
Okay, let's just give him a few seconds. Thank you for joining from Instagram, from Facebook, and from YouTube. I can see Pastor Timon Obiawe from Nigeria. I can see Dr. Olayola Jile from Birmingham. I can see Alan T with Altia. Okay, just try and get the volume. Let's get the volume down. Okay, can you hear me very well?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
Very well. Thank you very much. So if you are joining us, thank you, Fina Brooks, for joining us on YouTube. We appreciate you. Thank you, Pastor Timon. Thank you, Dr. Layola Jile. And we have a lot of folks joining us from Dubai, from Kenya, from Ghana, from China, from Nigeria. We appreciate you. Our guest today is no other person than Azubike Obi, the Group Head Business Development, FBN Bank Ghana. That is First Bank, Ghana. And it's a brother, it's a friend. And today we're going to be talking, about a very important discussion. And today's topic is cry for survival, potential of a dying continent. That is today's topic. And like we do it on this show, before going into the nitty gritty of our discussion, our questions, I would like to give us a brief background about our today's speaker. So I've got a short bio and I'm going to be reading to all our audience across the globe. Azubike Obi is the country group head of business development for FBN Bank Ghana. As a group head of business development, he has responsibility for retail, commercial, corporate banking businesses of FBN Bank Ghana and sits on the executive management committee of FBN Bank Ghana and on the board credit committee of the bank. FBN Bank Ghana is Oli's own subsidiary of First Bank Nigeria. Azubike has banking experience spanning 18 years and has worked for leading financial institutions like Guarantee Trust Bank, Access Bank, and First Bank Nigeria, and in various responsibility across operations and businesses. He is the author of 3 books and serves as the lead pastor of Wellspring Church Lagos and is married with children. He currently resides in Ghana. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Azubike Obi. How are you, my brother?
Very well, thank you. Can you hear me very well?
I, I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear
Okay,
you.
thank you. I'm very fine. Thank you very much.
So how is Ghana to start with this pandemic?
Well, Ghana has been fine. The country was on lockdown for a couple of days, well, like a couple of weeks actually, up until recently when we opened for some work. Um, but we're still not allowed to do some big gatherings. So we only have small gatherings. People go to work and then go home. Most of the companies are still closed. Most of the entertainment centers are still closed. Churches are still closed. Schools are still closed. But we're hoping that by the end of this weekend, they should unlock the country uh, um, for business to continue permanently. So more or less,
Okay, like
you
I
know.
asked. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I'm saying that. So we're hoping that by tomorrow, the president should announce an unlocking of the country. All right. So we
Okay, go ahead.
we believe that to be the beginning. Then we would expect the opening of the airspace.
Okay.
So I mean, also it should be in sections, maybe between Nigeria and Ghana first of all, then between Nigeria and West African countries, and have lower problem the with the coronavirus issues, and then gradually, before they open the airspace to international travels to Europe and everywhere. So things are looking up in Ghana.
Okay, now, like, I have this question I need to ask all of our audiences. Thank you, MC Cole from London, joining us. Thank you, MC Cole. Sandwich Queen JH, thank you for joining. We appreciate you, for taking time to join us. Thank you. We appreciate you. Now, when this coronavirus issue broke out, what was the first reaction? Like, nobody prepared for this. What was the first thing out? Like, okay, is it real or is it not real? So tell us your first, reaction to this pandemic.
Okay, please ask the question again. Please. I really didn't hear the question clearly.
Okay, now at the advent of coronavirus, what was your first take? What was the reaction going through your mind that is this real or not? How do you take it?
Okay, well, if I can answer the question properly, like I heard it, right? How did we take the coronavirus issues when it came to Ghana?
Yes.
Well, when it started in Ghana, it was a bit of initially we didn't think it would come to Ghana, all
Yeah.
right? So we're all like, okay, watching the world as the world was going by, all right? And then there were a bit of here and there. The country put travel bans on Europe and China and America, where they already had the problems and all that. At that time, Italy and Europe, more or less, were the epicenters of the coronavirus problems. So the country set a ban on travel. But of course, Ghanaian citizens who had traveled also came back from abroad, somewhere in the UK, and they came back to the country and they had to be quarantined. All right. And once they were quarantined, the cases began to grow from there. We had over 1,000, I understand, about 1,000 people who came in by flight and who were moved to the hotels and quarantined there for 14 days. And I have a couple of friends of mine, like one or two of them, who are also quarantined. Thank God they didn't have anything. All right. But from that point onwards, the sickness began to grow. Today we are at about 7,000 thereabout. Okay, but the number of deaths have been low,
Mm-hmm.
and we are hoping that, and the number of recoveries too have been very high.
Yeah.
And so we haven't seen much of a problem really, and they've done a lot of testing, contract tracing, testing, and all that. And so we see that we've gone past. I mean, this has been the fifth week or so, and we haven't had any serious emergency. We are hoping that it will stay like that. We've opened the markets for about 2 weeks now. We've opened school offices for about 2 weeks now. Okay, and the case isn't growing that much really, So we hope that when they open churches, that will be a true test. But for now, we all have to go about with our face mask, masks and wear them in public and wear them and still maintain social distancing. You know, they're very important things that we're doing them.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, today we're talking about a very, very important topic. Cry for survival, potential of a dying continent. Africa is a major, major continent in the scheme of things in this world. And the first question I have, is this: Africa is one of the most populated continents with a population of about 1.3 billion, blessed with all natural resources, yet the one least developed. In your view, why is this so?
Okay. Africa is first of all, I think that there are so many misconceptions about Africa.
Hmm.
All right. I think there are so many discussions about Africa. Africa is 1.3 million people of 54 countries.
Yeah.
So the story.
Africa. All right. The story around Africa is very, very, very varied. Okay. So when usually most people paint Africa with one brush and, and say the whole country has the whole what do we call it now? Continent. Yeah,
Yes.
thank you. Continent has 1.3 million people, 1.3 billion people, and it has natural resources and it is least developed. I think that is a generalized statement about Africa.
Yeah.
Okay, Africa has 54 countries, and in these countries are many. The development levels are very varied. If you go to Morocco, you go to Egypt. All right, they have a different level of development. You go to
Yeah.
South Africa. All right, you go to Kenya. All right, you go to West Africa, where Nigeria is. Even Nigeria as a country has varied development. So some parts of the country are very developed. Some parts are lacking in one or two things. Of course, there are very poor countries in Africa like Chad and Niger, all right, and some other smaller countries. But that one brush of
Yeah.
Africa is quite incorrect. And so one can't say directly that it is one of the least developed. If you
Mhm.
go to South Africa is very, very developed. Okay, a
Yeah.
large part of South Africa is very, very developed. If you go to Joburg, you go to Cape Town, all right, these are very beautiful cities. All right, if you go to Casablanca in Morocco, these are beautiful cities.
Yeah.
All right, you go to even to come to our Lagos and you go to Banana Island, Victoria Island. These are beautiful cities. So, of course, there are places that where there are wars, where there are still fights and wars and all those things, and they are still under development, right? Yeah, but all these things, we can't paint the whole continent with one brush, really,
Yeah. Exactly.
really.
But the challenge we have now is that some part of Africa, they are not on the same level across board. In most of developed countries in the Western world, in Asia, you can see this level of development, almost, at a very similar rate. Why do we have such challenges in Africa? You can come, for example, now, let's talk about East Africa. Kenya, Somalia, other countries like that. You look at the North Africans, you have the Chad, the Niger Republic, and the Morocco. This, level of development, they are not like similar. Some are like far apart, while some are doing their own thing. Is it an issue of we're not together or there's no form of cohesion between these African countries?
Okay, okay. Well, actually, I didn't hear what you said very, very well. The sound is a bit rough. Okay.
Okay. You
Yes.
thinking maybe with the earphone you can hear without the earphone. You want to try without the earphone?
Okay. Without earphone.
Yeah. Put on speaker. Your everything is on. Yeah. Can you hear me properly now? Can you hear me now? Very well. Can you hear me?
My mic is muted.
Can you unmute your mic?
Okay. Unmuted now.
Yes, good. I can hear you very well. That's
Okay, I can
perfect.
hear you very
Yeah. So I was saying something. Dr. Olaiwola said something. Said Africa wants to grow, but our leaders have a different agenda. Is that so?
Please say it again one more time, please. Say it again.
Dr. Ajile from Birmingham said Africa wants to grow, but our
Okay.
leaders have a different agenda. Is that so?
Okay. Well, so I can hear talk about the leaders, right? Is it the leaders you're talking about now?
Yes, it's saying that Africa wants to grow, but our leaders have a different agenda.
Are the leaders?
Our leaders, they have a different agenda in their minds. You know, they have a different mindset. What do you think so?
Okay. Okay. So truly, right? Africa has to grow, and like you said, right about the leadership and how the leaders affect the country. That's what you're saying. Okay,
Yeah.
how the leaders affect the growth of Africa.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you see, African leadership is very vast. It's a very vast issue. Okay. If you notice that most of the countries of Africa before this last decade, a lot of them had, or last 2 decades, a lot of them had military rules, and some that didn't have military rules had dictatorship of one sort or the other. But there've also been part of the Africa that had democratic rules that has lasted for a very long time. The longest being Ghana, the Republic of Ghana. All right. And if you look at a country like Ghana, right, you would see that over the last many years of having the longest democracy in the West Africa, right, the country has begun to make important changes, right, or salient changes in various parts of their businesses or of the country's sectors. Okay.
Yeah.
So the quality of governance has continued to improve across these countries. So if you look at the west of Africa, for instance, Nigeria has had democracy since 1999. That's almost 21 years of consistent democracy.
Yeah.
Okay. Ghana has had it just slightly earlier than Nigeria. Okay. If you go to countries like Sierra Leone, who have been through a civil war, they've also had a stable government now for a couple of years, let's say like 10 to 12 years thereabout. Okay, and then you go through the rest of West Africa, to go up to Gambia, where up until recently they had Yahya Jammeh, a man by the name of Yahya Jammeh, who was their leader,
President.
and who suddenly has been removed, and then they have a new leader right now. All right, so leadership in Africa has continued to evolve. However, like it is said, everything rises and falls on leadership. Okay. And so you would still attribute the growth of Africa to the level of its leadership. But Africa has a unique story. A large part of Africa were colonized by various people. If you look at the languages spoken today in Africa, or the official languages spoken across Africa, you will see that some people speak English, some people speak French, some people speak Spanish, some people speak Portuguese, some people speak their own languages like Amharic. That's what they speak in countries like Ethiopia. All right, and all these official languages are indications of the past, or who colonized these parts of Africa. Okay, now if you look at that in context, you will see that most African countries are young countries. Most of the countries are below 60 years. Most of the countries are about 60 years plus, really, right? 60 to 70 years. All right. So you see that in these 70 years or thereabout, they've started to evolve.
If you look at countries like the French colonies, Niger, while Niger is a French colony, Togo, Benin Republic,
Yeah.
Congo, Guinea, Sierra Leone, all right, sorry, Guinea, Senegal, right?
Yeah.
Countries are all in the French zones.
Mm-hmm.
And up until even Cameroon, up until today, the influence of France on these countries is still very, very high.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, and these are also still young countries. And truth must be told that in handing over the country back to the owners of the country, to the citizens of the country, all right, most of these governments also did not completely leave that power to rule them to self-rule to these people. If you look at the French colonies of Africa, the French still has a lot of say in the economy of those countries. Okay. In fact, the currency of these countries, like the CFA, all right, is printed in France.
Wow.
Yes, printed in France. All right. So the French people they have a strong hold on them. I think it's only the English-speaking countries that the English people left and also give them the power to rule themselves. And remember that most of these countries also were not a country. They were different people groups that were pulled together into one. So they have to grow to become a country. All right. They have to go through the country to the adjustment processes until they become a country. If you take Nigeria, for instance, Nigeria was amalgamated just before the First World War in 1914. So Lord Lugard was running the country, and by 1914 thereabout, there was going to be the First World War. And what did he do? He thought, okay, now we have to take people to Europe to fight the First World War. All right. What did he do? He brought the whole people group together. Okay. People, imagine the number of Igbo people in Nigeria and Yoruba people and the people from the north, the Hausa people, the Fulani people, and the other people from the Middle Belt. All right, the TVs, the TVs, the Shakiris, all those, everybody. And he pulls them together and tells them, you are now a country and you are called Nigeria. All right. Now, even though you've pulled them together to form a country, that isn't sufficient for them to become a country. They have to go through the process of bonding, right? And that took time to happen, but that has taken time to happen. In 1966, 67, the country went into a civil war. That's Nigeria, right? And the civil war was a war of secession. The East wanted to secede from the rest of Africa to form a country called Biafra. Okay. But that failed. There was a war for 3 years, and that failed. Then after it failed, the people still had to come together to live as a country. So you see these challenges across the countries of Africa. If you look at a country like Rwanda, Rwanda was I think it was colonized by the Belgians. Okay, while the Belgians were going to leave Rwanda, they handed power over to the weaker, to the smaller tribe.
Yeah.
Yes, in that country. And what happened? What they do in the country completely collapsed. Okay, when you do this Rwandan genocide that we'll talk about, the Hutus and the Tutsis. Okay, and this complete collapse of Rwanda, it took their current president Paul Kagame raising an army to come into into Rwanda and then establish peace, and he's been present there. And they've been able to establish a peaceful coexistence in the past 20-something years.
Yeah.
Okay, but you know the devastation that these things cause for countries. If you look at a country like Cameroon as a country, all right, today they're having issues between the English-speaking part of Cameroon and the French-speaking part of Cameroon.
Yeah.
Okay, so the countries have had to live together. Okay, and so although there is the pressure of forming a nation,
yeah,
dogging many people in Africa.
All right.
Okay, Yeah, so if you travel down to the south, right, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Lesotho, all right, in those southern countries, all right, you would see that they also have other challenges with apartheid.
Yeah.
Okay, I and you know the story of apartheid. Apartheid was there up until when in South Africa, up until when Madibo, you know,
Yeah.
Madiba
Yeah.
became their president. Okay, and after that they decided to cure the issue of apartheid in South Africa. Until today, there are still problems that are backlogs of apartheid in those countries. So these are countries that are just beginning to emerge. So sometimes we put a lot of pressure on these countries, but the truth is that they are not. They are actually young countries. If you go to the north of Africa, where we've had more stable governments, like if you go to Morocco, for instance, you go to Algeria, for instance. Algeria also had French influences, by the way, right?
Yeah.
But if you go to country like Libya, all right, that had some stability before Gaddafi was removed. So you see
Yeah.
that as this is are evolving, as this is are changing, the country is coming to form a nation. The process of nation formation takes time.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
takes time, you know.
While you
So
hold that thought, I have a comment from Timon from Nigeria. He's on Instagram. He said, "All leaders are product of African society." So I feel what a problem are is a dominating poor mindset because they have everything has to be for them first. Is that right? Is that correct?
okay, can you put up the question on the wall because I really didn't hear the question.
He said, our leaders, that's from Timor, Nigeria. He said, our leaders are products of African society. I feel what our problem are is dominating poor mindsets. It's about self first. Our leadership about self. He's saying that that is probably the problem, according to him.
You know, there's a saying, there is an Ashanti saying, right? That you first fight for ground before you fight for mat, right? If you don't have mat, if you don't have the ground, if you get the mat, where you put the mat? Okay.
Yeah,
Truly, truly, if you look at if you look across Africa, right, and maybe take nations one by one, you would see that in forming a nation, some people have tried to post to put upfront their their ethnical interests.
mm-hmm.
Okay? These are one of the things that have led to some of the troubles and the chaos we've had across Africa. Okay, all right. So yes, to an extent, I agree with him that leadership that is focused on self usually results in more problems.
Yeah,
Okay, and that has been part of some of the in some of the countries of Africa. But also, there's this issue of power, power and protection of power, right? Like what we saw in countries like in Gambia, for instance, you know, when the 1 minute, please. What we saw in Gambia, for instance, when the old president Yahya Jammeh refused to leave until there was a coup finally, and then he was removed and all those things. Okay, so many times people try to protect themselves in power. You know, they say power corrupts, right? And absolute power corrupts absolutely. So many times what we see is the corruption of absolute power. But with the continued development of democracy across Africa, you start to see that managed. But again, politicians are always going to be politicians. Sometimes they're going to be bothered about their own political interest first before they bother about the people. Okay, but at the end of the day, a successful government will be a government that is focused on the people and on developing the people and the potentials of the people. That's what we want to make it successful. And we've had that in certain parts of Africa. Okay, even in certain cities of let's take Nigeria. I recall when Fashola was governor of Lagos State in Nigeria, Lagos State, which is a state in Nigeria. Okay, yes. A lot of us that lived in Lagos State at that time could testify to how efficient Fashola as a person was. All right, and to mark that, his party has continued to be in government in Lagos State for a very long time. Okay, they are still in government till today, and somehow they've understood that good governance, all right, keeps people in office. Okay, so yes, so gradually there is a change of opinion around all these issues across Africa. If you look at Ghana, for instance, all right, where they don't have an established democracy that is an example. As an example to other African countries, you would see that the conversations around governance takes place and is stronger because everybody knows that the next party is waiting there to come into power and push you out, all right, if you don't do a good job. All right. If you look at Nigeria again, for instance, those things are already showing up in Nigeria. But some countries are in a different space entirely in Africa. Because Africa is big, so we can't just paint that with one brush, right? If you go to Egypt, we saw that after the Arab Spring that removed Hosni Mubarak in Egypt, okay, we saw the emergence of a whole new kind of government, all right, by the Muslim Brotherhood, okay, which was quickly toppled, and now we have a president called President Al-Sisi, who is in seat there. Okay, Egypt has been a very stable government for a very long time. Okay, even though they've had their own problems, but generally they've been a stable government up until recently. And with Al-Sisi there now, they've had a stable government. So if you go to those countries to painting the African leadership with one stroke, right, would be a good way to do it. But you see that the countries are so stabilizing and getting some more things done. So I hear what he's saying, and it is true to an extent in certain parts of Africa. Okay. In certain parts of Africa, it is true. Yes.
Okay. So viewers, if you are joining us live on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, our guest today is Azubike Obi, the Group Head Business Development, FBN Bank, Ghana. And we are reaching you live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram, all at the same time. And today, our topic for discussion today is cry for survival, potential of a dying continent. Now, talking about our continent, I have a question now. It's on our screen. It says poverty, poor education, and ill health are top issues facing Africa. What strategies do you think can be adopted to deal with this issue of poverty, poor education, and ill health? What strategies do you think?
Okay. Thank you. This is a very, very important, very nice question. All right. Poverty, poor education, and ill health. All right. Truly, Africa has been a country that has gone through a lot of poverty and ill health. Right. A large percentage of the population of the countries, as you go from country to country, you will see a large percentage of people who are poor. Okay, and of course the prevalence of disease, and outbreaks in Africa is a major issue. I think that to start to cap the problem, all right, there will be three layers of solutions to this problem. The very first layer, I'm going to say, is the people of Africa themselves. Normally people say start with the government, but the people. Sometimes the biggest cure to poverty and poor education is entrepreneurship. Okay, people who are willing to invest in education. When people invest in education, all right, the mass of people start to get educated and things start to change for the community. If you look at, let's take again a country like Nigeria. during the days of SAP in Nigeria, thank you. During the days of SAP in Nigeria, structural adjustment program, during the austerity days in Nigeria, the country completely collapsed. The country's education system collapsed, all right? The country's health system collapsed, and poverty was very, very rampant. But in that collapse, something changed fundamentally in the way Nigerians thought about education and about government involvement. They realized that if government won't provide you schools, you can teach yourselves. And I will tell you, the world has come to a place where the curriculum for education is available. All right. So if you want to follow British curriculum, it's available. You want to follow a particular curriculum, it's available. You can get it, you can get the books, you can teach it. And so in Nigeria, private schools began to open schools in Nigeria. Today, more private schools taking students in Nigeria today than even public schools or government-owned schools. The same thing with universities. There are so many private universities that also opened up as the government decentralized education. So the very first cure to poverty, to poor education is the investment of the citizens in the education of the people. Okay, so if the people begin to invest in education, right? If you take, for instance, I know a couple of families that have built schools in Nigeria, all right, and they're going through the process of training children, all right. My wife happens to be an educationist, right, and she is in an association called Association of Private School Owners, all right, in Lagos State. All right, and these are all school owners that are privately owned. The people build the schools themselves. You know, every problem creates its own opportunities.
Yeah.
And within the problem of poor education in Nigeria is also the issue of entrepreneurship and people investing and funding education from the least bit to the biggest The second issue. So if I move out to health too. Also, in Nigeria, we've seen
Yeah. 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 Right.
continue to deregulate these sectors, all right, and allow private players to come into those spaces. If you look at Nigeria, when the government allowed private players to come into the universities, all right, people like Bishop Oyedepo, all right, built Covenant University, owned by Winners Chapel, right, and built Landmark University, all right. One single church built 2 universities, and I understand that there's been a third university in Abuja right now, okay, because the government allowed them to regulate the education in the private sector. Then if you, unfortunately, you start to see so many other Babcock University, Redeemer University, because the government regulated or liberalized that sector of the economy. So the first thing is private investment being encouraged. The second thing, because let me tell you what, the people are more than government. There are, let's take Nigeria, 180 million people. Let's take Ghana, this is my homeland Ghana, 30 million people, right? The people are more than government. And so, and while government can make available the resource or the opportunities for this to happen, to thrive, the private individuals must invest in those spaces. So the first level is, like I said, is individual investment. The second one is government putting in policies that drive investment. You understand? All right. And if as long as government goes to provide that kind of support, providing policies that drive investment, you will see that the issues around poverty and poor education and ill health will start to go. What drives poverty? Poverty is driven by maybe 3 or 4 major things. One, illiteracy is the first thing that drives poverty. Yeah. When people are illiterate, right, they will become poor. Number 2 thing that drives poverty, again, is instability.
Yeah, everything. Agree? Yeah. Yeah.
Drives poverty. All right. So some of these things will require that strong government intervention. Okay. And thirdly, there will be the dimension of international organizations helping with resolving these multilateral issues. So you see Boko Haram, you see the issues with ISIS, ISIS, so the issue with Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb and all those things. All these things tied together to cause problem for the countries, and sometimes a country can't deal with them alone. Sometimes you need multiple people to deal with these issues, multiple countries to cooperate and deal with the issues. Okay, because part of the things that drives poverty is this instability. Okay, but once there's stability and then the government works on their policies, what is remaining will be that the private people must start to invest in education. Okay. And truly, education can be as expensive or as cheap, right? Truth is, education is education. Once people sit down and are taught, they will learn. Okay, particularly from childhood education will become the biggest gainer. When we start to teach children from childhood, we'll see a lot of improvement in their academic abilities and the more you deal with illiteracy, the more poverty and poor and all these things will be dealt with. Interestingly, that's what I think.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Jella, for joining us. Roya D, thank you for joining. Jason Olakunle from Nigeria, thank you for joining. We appreciate you all for joining. Now, today we're talking about the issue of a survivor, cry for survivor, potential of a dying continent. And our guest today is Azubike Obi, who is the Group Head Business Development, FBN Bank. Now, I have a very, very interesting question. This is the question said, in your view, is there a model country in Africa that we can learn from? Is there a model country in Africa that Africa can learn from? Taking our continent as a whole, is there a model country within Africa that Africans can learn from?
Various countries can be models in various on various issues. Do you understand? Various countries can be models in various issues. If you look at stability, for instance, or democratic stability, all right, today Ghana and Nigeria are leading models. All right. So, if in terms of political stability, Ghana and Nigeria are leading models in Africa. All right. Even South Africa is a leading model in Africa in terms of stability because they've had a single government since since apartheid ended. Okay. So at least on that one level, you can have that. If you look at education and electoral liberalization, okay, you would see a country like, again, you would see Ghana, all right, you would see Nigeria to an extent, you would see South Africa to an extent, you would see a country like Kenya to an extent, okay. If you look at technology, for instance, technology, one of the leading countries in technology in Africa is Kenya.
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of development of payment systems. All right. They were the first people to start what they call mobile money in Africa. And from where it like Ghana had copied the M-Pesa system. And that M-Pesa, many countries around Africa have copied that technology. Nigeria is a leading country in technology also. And you see that as Nigerian companies move to other parts of West Africa, like Nigerian companies coming to Ghana, for instance, and going across Ghana to Sierra Leone and Gambia, you start to see the transfer of knowledge from Nigeria to Ghana to other parts of West Africa, who ordinarily it would have taken so long a time to get to that point. But because they have Nigerian companies who are coming in and who are investing in their countries and bringing in technology, all right, these countries are gaining technology advantage in leaps and bounds. So you are seeing that happening across Africa. If you go up to the East Africa, all right, Kenya, and all those countries around the Swahili speaking area, okay, you see that there's a lot of development going on there also, all right, particularly technology, right, which is actually a very important thing that everybody is learning. And these countries also have some form of stability in their government. Okay, so there's a lot of interactions happening in Nigeria, and knowledge sharing and various mentorship of various. Let me tell you something, right? Technology, right? See the influence of South Africa in Nigeria, and see the reverse influence of Nigeria in Ghana. All right, we should tease that the way South Africa married Nigeria, that's the same way Nigeria married Ghana. Yeah. Okay, because you saw South African companies coming to Nigeria and teaching Nigeria a whole new way of doing business. This ShopRite, one of the most successful brand of shops in malls in Nigeria. Yeah. South African, you see MTN, all right? Even though today, Nigeria is the biggest contributor to the MTN business, right? But South Africans brought their business acumen to Nigeria to start to teach Nigeria and all that. We'll see other companies who have come from South Africa to Nigeria, all right? And now you see Nigerian companies who are going out coming out to Ghana, going to Benin Republic, going to Togo, and going to other parts of Syria, Côte d'Ivoire, and other parts of Africa, transferring knowledge. So there's a lot of influence that is going on in Africa, really, more than we all really think about. If we have to sit down and gently and think through these things to see what is happening actually across Africa and the influence other African countries are having on other African countries. Look at government. When the president of Togo, okay, was having issues with his country after his father passed. He came and met with the Nigerian president at that time, Olusegun Obasanjo, and advised him and said, you know what, go to your country and conduct an election. That is influence, all right? And the stability of Nigeria and Nigerian size helped them to be able to influence Togo to behave rightly, and today he's still president, right? But they have a proper political system going on. Maybe not excellent, but at least something that is good going on. Okay, the same thing has happened with one country recently had some coup recently, right? And they told the guy, "You can't be president. Come down.
Yeah,
You can't be president." All right. So you are seeing that the countries are influencing each other to behave right.
Yes.
You understand? So yes, that's going on already in Africa.
So
across the countries of Africa.
Okay, so that means basically, as an African, we can learn from each other. I mean, as an African country, we learn from each other. We learn from each other. We exchange ideas. We learn from each other. Is that what you're saying? Can you hear me?
Okay. Sorry.
We're learning from each other. We're exchanging ideas. We learn from each other.
Yes, we are learning from each other on many grounds, because many countries are ahead in various things. All right. Like I said, all right, Africa is a vast multiples of nations. 54 nations make up Africa. All right. 54 nations.
Yeah.
All right. And these people are different points of. Let's look at disease control. Let's look at disease control. When Ebola broke out in Sierra Leone, right, it was a very big problem.
Yes.
And then after a while, the Ebola, the index person came to Nigeria, all right, and Ebola came to Nigeria, all right. And how did Nigerian government at that time control Ebola? All right, Nigerian government demonstrated some of the leading skills in disease control.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Doing contact tracing, educating the populace. All right. Quarantining the people who got sick. And not just that, they also found a way to get people well, to treat the people.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there was no ZMAP at that time and all that other treatment, right? But the doctors began to get together and try to treat the symptoms. Okay. And what happened within a couple of months or two, Nigeria put Ebola under control.
That's right.
Okay. And we know that apart from the first few people that died of Ebola, a lot more people survived Ebola in Nigeria. Exactly. And that became a prototype that was shared back to Sierra Leone to help them curb Ebola. Because now they knew that if they put you on high level hydration, you would get well. And so with the power of high level hydration that was introduced and other treatments in Sierra Leone also became treated, and is it Sierra Leone and Liberia?
Yeah.
They also became free of Ebola, all right, today. Right. Now that there is that COVID came, right, Nigeria only activated that same protocol again.
Yeah.
So people have been wondering, how come the issue of COVID hasn't spread that deeply in Nigeria or Ghana or everything, right? The Nigerian protocol that they deployed during Ebola was simply deployed early again when Ebola came, when COVID came. And so Nigeria was able to find the index people. And in finding them and doing quarantining and contact tracing, they're able to put the people together and hence stop the spread of disease in Nigeria. So there are many things that the countries have learned and are sharing with each other. Ghana did the same. So the issue of community spread in Ghana has been very low. Yeah. All right. Same thing with Nigeria. Same thing with Sierra Leone. Same thing because they've been through these things.
Yes.
You understand? And they've learned the protocol. And if you worked in Nigeria, all right, they've spread across Africa. That is why we have a lower percentage of the invasion in Nigeria and in Africa and in West Africa as a whole.
Okay.
Now look at America. Look at America and Europe. They have never had diseases explode in their countries like this. Okay, and they didn't have the skill on constant contact tracing and all these other measures. All right, and they could have learned from Nigeria.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they could have learned from Nigeria how to do contact tracing, all right? But they didn't. Today we are seeing 1 million people dead in those countries, all right, which is very sad, right? But it shows the power of learning, all right, which Africans are sharing among themselves, you know, and which is what has accounted for very minimal loss of lives across Africa and across West Africa that we all particularly are close to.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. We've got about like 5 minutes more, and we just have one more question to go. But before then, I want to appreciate Caribbean TV for joining, Multi Photography for joining. Thank you so much. So this is the last question of the day, and we'll just wrap up in the next 5 minutes. The role of the youth in Africa. How can they be reformed and be maximized for the desired transformation? The youth.
Okay, youth in Africa.
Yeah.
Okay, so yesterday I actually took time to check Africa's population and youth distribution. Okay, yeah. I realized that 60% of Africa's population is less than 25 years old.
Wow.
60% of the population less than 25 years old. Okay, yeah. and that tells a story. Okay, that informs us that the African youth, right, are the critical engine for propelling the country to its greatness. Okay, yes. And given the large number of youths, okay, the very first thing about the youthful population is educating that youthful population. Once you are able to educate this youth population, you empower them for the next level of growth the country is going to get.
Yeah.
Okay. This youth population also has, they're also tech savvy. They're tech savvy. Okay. If you look at the mobile penetration in Africa, as of today is about 81% mobile penetration. All right. All these are opportunities that are potentials that are available that can be tapped and be used to maximize the people. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? All right. So the very first way to reform, the very first way to form African youths is to educate them.
Yeah.
All right. That should be serious investment in education. If you look at countries like Singapore, what changed Singapore in the days of the president, Lee Kuan Yew? Yes. Yeah, what changed them? What changed was that they decided to educate the people. Today, Singapore is one of the most educated country in the world. All right. Europe also and America, you know, before now, has also been centers of education. So educating the Nigerian youth, all right, the young minds of Africa, from Nigeria, from the west of Africa, from the south of Africa, to the west, to the east, to the north of Africa, all right, to the central region of Africa. Educating the young minds there will be the very first that will drive that will drive.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That is what we have now. We have full polio eradication in Nigeria. All right. For the past how many years now, no child has had polio in Nigeria. All right. Except for maybe because of continued vaccination, measles. You know, these are diseases that cripple children. Okay. Tuberculosis. All right. You know. Yeah. So taking care of minding the health of the African child. Okay, across the country, from the west, from the south of Africa, all right, all the way to Libya and Morocco, all right, and the top of Africa, Algeria, all right, and Egypt is very, very important. That's one of the ways we can keep the country formed and maximize the potential of the young people in Africa.
Thank you very much for today. It's been an awesome time having a discussion with Azubike Obi, the Group Head Bank Business Development FBN Bank Ghana, on a very, very important topic, cry for survival potential of a dying continent. You know, it's a wealthy continent. It's a continent of the future, like we've been saying. And I believe, based on what you just said, you know, if we can invest more in the education and taking time to listen to the youth, I believe our continent will be wonderful. Thank you for Delish Dining Calgary for joining. Nelson told me thank you for joining. And I want to say thank you for our guest, Azubike Obi. We just finished the live broadcast on Instagram, just finished. And also here, if you have a word, you know, to say to our audience, what will be the final word you want to share with our audience before we leave?
Okay, so I know that a lot of the audience are from Canada. Okay, and on purpose, I had to wear to dress like this today on purpose. All right, to encourage you to come to Africa. All right, I want to encourage you. You see, one of the ways you can know the country, the continent, is to come there. Okay, so visit. Listen, Africa is not one country. Africa is not America or China.
Yeah.
All right, or Russia.
Yeah.
Right. Africa is 54 countries
in one
of various 54 countries of various skin colors. All right. Some are black and beautiful like us, praise God. All right. Yeah. Some are not as black. Some are fairer and all that kind of stuff. Some are even white, you know, as you go up to the north of Africa. All right. And every country has its diverse issues.
Yes.
Diverse languages. Diverse governmental systems.
Yes.
You know, and diverse resources. Okay. And diverse strengths also. So it is important that we have to start to see that this is not just one country. These are multiples of countries with multiples of languages.
Yeah.
Africa has about 2,000 languages.
That's huge.
That's huge. Nigeria alone has over 250 languages or 300 languages. Nigeria alone.
Wow.
Minus the dialects. All right. Ghana alone has multiple languages. Wow. As you go up north to Ghana, the languages have to change. All right. Here you would see a lot of Ga or Tree or Fanti, which are all some form of tree. But as you go up to Tamale and you go up to Upper East, Upper West, you know, the languages are completely different.
Yeah,
all right.
So a lot of diversity.
Diversity. All right. And so to understand Africa, we have to understand each of these individual countries and the people and their way of life. And I tell you, right, this is a country, this is a continent to watch out for. As the countries settle into nation formation, all right, we start to see a lot of growth happen around Africa.
Wow.
That's what I like to say. It's a blessed country to be in. I think you should visit and see some more.
Thank you very much today, Azubike Obi, all the way from Ghana. We appreciate your time. It's a pleasure to have you on this show. And to our audience around the world, I want to say thank you. The Global Talkative series continue. June 1st, we have another special guest. You know, we'll be talking about the pandemic fashionistas. You know, a new wave of fashion has just broke out during this period. I want to be talking to one of our fashion and lifestyle experts here in Calgary. And it's going to be an awesome time. Until we'll see you again next time, I'm still Lanre Ajayi, your host. Thank you very much. Bye for now. We'll see you again soon.
Bye-bye. God bless you. Thank you. Bye-bye.